Morgan Le Fay, the primary villain in the Runaways Season 3, might possibly be the most powerful sorcerer in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and yes, that includes Wanda Maximoff, the Ancient One, and Doctor Strange. I'd been sleeping on Runaways forever, and I finally decided to check it out a couple weeks ago, and it turns out that they were hiding some super powerful characters over there, like Avenger-level threats. Not to mention, the show is actually pretty good. In today's video, I'll be detailing the incredible power of Morgan Le Fay, who I believe is one of the strongest beings in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you guys like this kind of content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It does really help the channel grow and helps us reach more passionate Marvel Cinematic Universe fans. Morgan Le Fay is a very powerful sorceress who has been alive since around the 5th or 6th century and is closely associated with Arthurian legends. She is the leader of her own coven of witches who she commands from the Dark Dimension. Thousands of years before the start of the show, Morgan was betrayed by a close friend and banished to the Dark Dimension. She lived there for thousands of years, plotting her revenge and waiting for a chance to escape, which might be her most impressive feat, but we'll talk about that a bit later. While trapped in the Dark Dimension, Morgan still has influence in our dimension. As mentioned earlier, she commands a coven of witches while she's still trapped in the Dark Dimension. And she does this by communicating to them through thin places. These are like portals that can be used to send messages from dimension to dimension. These are usually reflective surfaces such as mirrors or even a pool of liquid. She can also cast spells from the Dark Dimension which could affect the real world. While still trapped, she was able to conjure an illusion of Nico's father, Robert, and use this illusion to speak with Nico. And while it's impressive that she can cast spells that affect our reality from the Dark Dimension, after she is released from Dormammu's realm, Morgan puts on a tour de force of magical spell casting that would make even Doctor Strange blush. To escape the Dark Dimension, Morgan telepathically gave Nico a spell to help her and her friends. This spell was called Tenebrae, Latin for darkness, which teleported Nico and everyone around her into the Dark Dimension while teleporting Morgan to our dimension. Once freed, Morgan puts her full power on display. Alongside her coven of witches, she's able to summon a massive storm that covers all of Los Angeles. She is also able to completely nullify attacks from both Chase and Carolina, and is outright stated by Tina to be too powerful to contend with. And just for reference, Tina is a master of the mystic arts with thousands of spells at her disposal. She battled against the Staff of One, an ancient relic whose power dwarfs that of most masters, such as Wong and Caecilius, and at one point Morgan is stated to be even more powerful than the Staff of One. The Staff of One has the power to warp reality itself, and gives the user power above the scale of any other ancient relic that we've seen in action. Caecilius even notes that the staff contains power beyond the comprehension of some magic wielders, and it took 4 masters of the mystic arts to contend with someone who couldn't even use it to its fullest potential. With that in mind, Tina at this point would likely know the full potential of the staff. She is a master of the mystic arts who has been using the staff for decades and concedes that Morgan is simply too powerful to be affected by the staff. And just as a side note for the people who may not be aware, there is a massive gray area concerning Tina's backstory and the Staff of One, but I'll go over all of that in Tina's video. It would just take too much time from this video to explain it all, so be on the lookout for that. Anyway, back to this video. Even with the help of Carolina, an ant from the Dark Dimension, and the Staff of One, Nico is helpless against Morgan's raw strength. Morgan's speed is also far beyond what is typically seen within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as she is able to casually react to Carolina's attacks. And in case you don't know anything about Carolina, let me fill you in. Carolina is a Gaborum, an alien race literally made of light. Carolina can expel light from her body in the form of beams to attack her enemies. Of course, the speed of light is roughly 670 million miles per hour, and Morgan reacts to Carolina's light beams very casually. As for durability, Morgan was seemingly able to take a hit from anything the Runaways sent at her. Even a light force dagger infused with the power of the Dark Dimension did absolutely nothing to her. In fact, she was simply able to absorb the dagger's power, which made her even stronger. The limits of her durability are unknown, but we know that she can endure anything that the Staff of One could throw at her, and I mean, at one point Cloak says that Nico might be able to collapse reality with it, so take that for what it is. Now, let's discuss her other spells and mystical abilities. So at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that Morgan was trapped in the Dark Dimension for thousands of years, and as detailed in Doctor Strange and expanded upon in Cloak and Dagger, as well as the Runaways, being trapped in the Dark Dimension causes one to lose their mind and become a quote-unquote mindless one. Giving yourself to Dormammu speeds up this process, but being in the Dark Dimension too long will cause you to lose all of your memories and eventually become a husk of a human. Morgan has dwelled within the Dark Dimension for millennia and has yet to show signs of becoming a mindless one, showing us that she has resistance to multiversal level mind hacks from Dormammu and the Dark Dimension. At least passive mind hacks, as it is an ability Dormammu doesn't seem to actively use unless you're giving yourself to him, such as Caecilius and the Zealots did. Additionally, Morgan can protect others from becoming mindless ones, which she does to the police officers Nico teleported to the Dark Dimension in Season 2. She can also communicate telepathically, which she does throughout Season 3, and can even mind hacks others by showing them visions. And she can even appear in these visions to speak with someone more directly. However, her ability to ensnare the mind goes even further than this. By enchanting feathers and implanting them into phones, which she planned to distribute throughout the world, she could control the actions of others, making them more violent and a personal army to Morgan. Each person entranced by her spell also multiplies her overall power, so the more people under her control, the stronger her magic becomes. She can also take direct control over somebody by giving them a necklace she has enchanted. When the victim is wearing this necklace, they are compelled to follow Morgan's will. And not only can she control the minds of others, but she can cast spells that protect her and others from mental manipulation. Another power of this formidable enchantress is telekinesis. She can pull people toward her and throw things away from her. And another unique ability that she has that can interact with technology and the internet more specifically is the ability to wipe something from the internet magically as if it never existed, leaving zero traceable evidence that that file was ever uploaded to the internet, which is borderline impossible. Morgan can also manipulate the elements. As mentioned previously, she creates a massive storm in Los Angeles. She can also light fires, control the air, etc. She can teleport anywhere she likes, either instantly or she can create portals to traverse dimensions. Using her magic, she can also heal. After being put in a coma by his daughter Nico, Robert was completely healed by Morgan. Later, when Robert's necklace is damaged and he is released from her mind control, Morgan undoes the spell she used to heal Robert, and he dies. She also has the ability to stop time, which she does when needing to speak with Nico without anyone else listening in. With a wave of her hand, she stops all time around her and then undoes the spell just as easily. It would also seem that Morgan has a resistance to time manipulation, as she lived in the Dark Dimension for thousands of years and was still able to act independently. In case you are confused, let me break it down for you a bit more. The Dark Dimension is beyond time, meaning that time does not exist there, meaning that she could not do anything in the dimension because the speed formula is broken, as speed equals distance over time. This is explained in the climax of Doctor Strange, as the would-be Sorcerer Supreme introduces time to Dormammu, a concept completely foreign to the multiversal entity. Since time is required to move, and because it is absent in the Dark Dimension, Morgan would have to have resistance to time stop because she can move freely throughout the Dark Dimension. So Doctor Strange and the Ancient One would be unable to use their greatest weapon against her, assuming that they were to battle before the Time Stone was destroyed, that is. As for equipment, Morgan has the necklaces that we mentioned earlier, and she also has the Darkhold, an ancient artifact created from dark matter in the dark dimension that contains infinite knowledge. Using the Darkhold, Tina was able to banish Morgan. With prep time, Tina was able to create enchanted salt that when poured around Morgan would contain her in the barrier. After being contained, Morgan is then banished back to the dark dimension by using her own spell, which was deciphered by Tina. So really, Morgan isn't all-powerful, and while the Staff of One would be unable to affect her physically, or I guess magically, there are ways to get rid of her, and this spell would be one of them. And of course, since the Darkhold has infinite knowledge in it, it probably also has infinite ways to defeat Morgan. So those are the powers and abilities of Morgan Le Fay, clearly one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and an Avengers level threat. The Runaways sure are lucky that they had the Staff of One, an ancient relic from Kamar-Taj, as well as Tina, a master of the mystic arts, there to assist them. Otherwise, Morgan would have absolutely thrashed the Runaways, and would probably thrash the majority of the Avengers, at least in my opinion. Let me know down in the comments if you think I'm right on target, or if you think I'm overrating Morgan a little bit. Also, be sure to let me know who you want to see a video on next time. And remember the motto, it's Morgan Le Fay over everything, and I'll see you guys next time.